Hey there everyone. It's been a few weeks since my last video. I have been extremely preoccupied with a major transition that I am going to be embarking on in the next couple of days. I will be leaving this beautiful land here in California. As I've mentioned in some other videos, I've been a transitional land steward on this land for the last year. The property is also in transition. The property is being sold, so the new owners are slowly moving through that process, and it is time for me to conclude my time here at Groundswell and move on. So I have been in a packing whirlwind. I am getting my beloved Dorothy van ready to hit the open road again. I will have other videos about my next steps, so stay tuned for where I'm heading. I'm going to do some filming as I'm on the road rolling across the country. It's been a really bittersweet time period. A couple weeks ago we had our final gathering on this land as it is in its current iteration. So we had about 60 to 80 queer people here for that event. It was over Halloween, or Samhain is what we call it in these pagan parts. So it was in part a grief ritual for us to connect with our ancestors. That's the time of year when, you know, we can really access some of those energies. And it was also in part a grief and goodbye process for us saying goodbye to this land and this community where people have been gathering for, you know, the last 7 years. It was nice to share community space along the topic of grief. I have worked with grief a lot over these last several years. I have learned a lot about letting things go and saying goodbye and closing chapters in order to open new chapters. I've been doing all that mostly pretty much alone by myself, so it was really nice to share that space. It was very cathartic, and there was a sense of closure that I was able to feel through being with other people and sharing, you know, moments of joy still on this land. So we shared laughter, we shared tears, we shared hugs, we shared memories. It was really beautiful. This land project has been a 7-year project, and it was beautiful to see people who were here at the start of the project. It's gone through a lot of shifts and turns in the population and who's been called to be here on the land over that 7-year time period. We had new people who came to the gathering, and so there was, you know, sharing of new relationships and community building happening even as the community is deep in transition. And simultaneously, you know, I'm going through my own grief process of leaving this land. I came here knowing that I was here temporarily. I came here knowing I was only going to be here for a year, or maybe a little longer, maybe a little less. It was uncertain at the time, but even so, stepping into this knowing that it's temporary doesn't really change the experience of being in this space, right? So it has been my home for the last year. It's been the most consistent place I've lived for the last 2 years. So I'm going through a lot of my own processes of releasing my current reality and mourning that, letting myself feel those emotions, and then opening to what's next. So one of the things I want to do in this video is share a very special walk on this land. It's a bit of a hike, so this is the first time I'll be making that hike since my ankle has healed from my sprained ankle last month or the month before. So we're gonna go like nice and slow, but I'll speed it up for you. It is all the way up to the, actually it's like way up at the top of this hill. We're basically going to be going right here. We'll be able to see the landscape down here in the background once we're at the top of the hill. So it is a mostly uphill walk, but it is so beautiful, and I want to take you on some of that with me. So that's what we're going to do today. And we're going to do, you know, some like release processes and connect with the ground and connect with the trees and the forest and this very, very, very special land here, connect with the streams. And one thing I want to show you before I go is this little pond right here. It's been empty over the summer months when it's been like so dry, but there's water in it now. I don't know if you can tell. Yesterday morning, there were some river otters who stopped by to play. I was able to see them a couple times last year as well, but when there's water in here, the creek is behind this tree line, and they climbed down into this pond and they were like splashing around and catching some stuff, and it was it's really fun and cute to watch them. Especially coming from the Midwest, seeing wild river otters is like such a treat. Okay, enough talking about the hike. Let's do the hike.
emotion, and I remove my fear. I can hear my heart in motion, feel explosion happens inside of me. I wanna go slow motion, feel devotion to what's in front of me. I wanna keep your emotion, all the commotion when we get to the sea. Let it be water to touch my feet. Let it be water to touch my feet now. Let it be water to touch my feet. Touch my feet, touch my feet now. Let it be water to touch my feet. Let it be water to touch my feet now.
Oh my gosh, the sun. It's amazing. One of my first life-changing moments happened here at this pond. When I first stumbled upon this land project, I was coming to do a two-week work trade this was last year, so July of 2021. I got a response back that they were having a 4th of Nature celebration. So instead of 4th of July, which is, you know, a colonizer holiday, we celebrate the 4th of Nature here at Groundswell. And so, yeah, one of my first memories is being in this pond with, there were at least 100 people here that day. So imagine 100 naked queers swimming in this pond, basking in the sun. It was just such a powerful moment of embracing queerness. I had never been in that large of a queer space before, certainly never that radical of a queer space before coming from the Midwest, and definitely never a nude queer space before. And there was just something so freeing about being able to openly express and be in our bodies without fear or worry of, you know, the thousands, millions of microaggressions, honestly, we all get out in the normative culture, whether we're straight, whether we're LGBTQ. So this is a special place. This pond is special. Hear how quiet it is. The power of nature. The power of being. The power of sacred queer spaces. This part of the land has seen a lot of that. Okay, so we're gonna pick back up with the hike now. We're going to go up a little bit steeper, but shorter of a trek to the tippy top of the hill, where we'll be able to see a lot farther. And on the tippy top of that hill is a beautiful old cedar tree that we call Grandfather Cedar. So we'll go see Grandfather Cedar.
What's in front of me? I wanna keep your emotion, all the commotion when we get to the sea. Let it be water to touch my feet. Let it be water to touch my feet now. Let it be water to touch my feet. Touch my feet, touch my feet now. Let it be water to touch my feet. Let it be water to touch my feet now. Let it be water to touch my feet. Touch my feet, touch my feet now. Let it be water to touch my feet. Let it be water to touch my feet now. Let it be water to touch my feet. Touch my feet, touch my feet now. Let it be water to touch my feet. Let it be water to touch my feet now. Let it be water to touch my feet. Touch my feet, touch my feet now.
There's a little sitting bench over here. Let's go and have a seat for a minute and I'll catch my breath. traffic can be pretty loud because it gets a little echoey with the highway. But it's also so quiet. Okay, let's go check out the cedar. There he is. Grandfather Cedar at the top of the hill. There's been a space for ritual and prayer and sacred energy. There's a little altar at his base. And he has a view of everything. So if we come on this side, there's a little nook. I like this nook. And then down here, oh, right there. That's not exactly where we were, but that's very close to where we were. That's actually where I fell and sprained my ankle. Right here. All right. I believe I'll be back here, but there are no guarantees, so this is when that practice of non-attachment comes into play, of being able to appreciate things and experiences and the gifts that they've offered, even if we can't time capsule that moment, you know. And that's so much of life, is experiencing something and then having to let go of that thing that we experienced, which is easy when we're not super in love with the thing we're experiencing, but then can be challenging. And this is a very special experience for me. This was like, yeah, life-changing in a lot of ways for me, and I do feel ready for my next chapter. I do feel like it's time for that, and yet still it's very bittersweet because this has been such a special place, and you know, I won't ever have this experience again. It won't ever be what it is now again. The land project is coming to a close. The community has been changing this whole time, is changing still. But letting go is what allows us to open to more. Closing out a chapter is what allows us to open the next one. So that's the path. That's the path. All right. I'm going to take you a little bit down the hill with me so you can see some pretty moments. We're almost back to the pond, but I just want to point something out because this is something I'm really proud to have learned here. This is poison oak. Right here, the stick looking things. See, they're so close to the trail. Here's the trail. There's the poison oak. I got some poison oak last year around this time because, like, I mean, it just looks like twigs, right? It just looks like twigs. So I got some on me and paid the price for weeks. I didn't even get it that bad. I got just like a little tiny bit on my forearm, and that was enough to just, like, I broke out in hives on other parts of my body that I think exacerbated some mosquito bites that I got at the same time. I ended up like going to the local doctor here who told me that she thought it was bed bugs, and so then I had to act as though I had bed bugs here on this camp retreat center that's never had bed bug issue before. It was not bed bugs, it was poison oak, but that's how bad it was. It really took weeks to go away. So I learned really quickly what poison oak looks like, because that is not an experience I want to have. In the fall and winter, it loses its leaves, and so it's just twigs. So you gotta know how to differentiate your twigs out here. So we're coming back a slightly different way. This is a different bridge than the one we walked on to get there, obviously. It's just such a peaceful place to be. Listen to the water. All right, everyone. Now we're right by the highway that we could hear up on the hill. So you can see how far we went, but it's a short walk. It's just straight uphill. So not really that short. Thanks for coming on this walk with me today, sharing in some of these memories. Stay tuned for future videos from the road. On to my next adventure. See you there.